I'm Charles Green with the Small Business Finance Institute, and today I'm discussing franchise financing with Ronald Feldman. Ron is Chief Development Officer at Frandata, a research and advisory firm that focuses on the franchise industry. Thanks for joining me, Ron. Let me begin by asking you, what are some of the common misconceptions lenders have when it comes to franchise financing or franchising in general?
Charles, the biggest misconception is that all franchises are alike. The fact is that franchises are just like traditional business. There's successful and unsuccessful brands. The misconception is not borne out with data, though. The truth is that there's huge opportunity for franchise-savvy lenders, and confidence in franchising is really rising. The largest SBA franchise lender only has an 8% market share.
While national lenders have recognized for years that franchising is a unique vertical within their small business lending portfolio, regional and local lenders might not necessarily think so. Why should they consider the franchising industry as a vertical to build a small business loan portfolio on?
Well, the fact is, Charles, that there are more than 3,800 franchise brands in the U.S. alone across 30 sectors and 234 industries. And if you look at a percentage of 7(a) loans as franchise lending, on the right-hand side here, you see a chart that's really moving up well. And you see on the left-hand side here that all the really big SBA lenders are diving into franchising in a big way. And if you're a regional or local lender, the real opportunity here is that there are 50% of the brands are in less than 10 states and aren't really on the radar of those big lenders that we talked about in the last slide. So if you're a local lender, a regional lender, a community banker, you really want to focus on those smaller brands within your footprint that can really help you build a nice portfolio. The other thing that's happening is that just about every day a new franchise brand is being born. And we track that here at Frandata. And if you look at this chart, you see that we had a little lull during the recession, but it's back, and it's back stronger than ever. So franchising is growing at a brand level, it's growing at a lending level, and it's growing at a economic level.
It's been said that underwriting a franchise brand is different than underwriting a borrower. What would you say are some of the vital metrics or measurements that lenders need to know in order to make a well-informed lending decision?
Well, Charles, you really want to know if that brand is lender-friendly. And they are brands that are transparent about what their performance is. At the unit level, what the return on capital is, what the sales are, what the time to break even is, and what their performance is. At the system level, what the outcomes are, how many units open, close, and transfer. How transparent are the relations with the franchisor and the franchisee? And if you're looking at the franchisor level, how strong are their financials? How much support do they provide to their franchisees? What are their compliance metrics, and how much litigation are they in? And obviously, it always comes down to gross profit and EBITDA. So you want to make sure at the unit level that people are making money. So the other thing you want to look at is what they're disclosing from the income statement and the balance sheet. You want to talk about how their operating profitability and management efficiency is working throughout the system. And a lender-friendly franchisor also will always provide average unit revenues for a sample of franchise locations.
What is the biggest challenge lenders face when it comes to underwriting a franchise loan?
The biggest challenge lenders face is the plethora of information that's out there. There's so many sources. We live in the information age, and you can Google something and get 500 answers to any question. What you really want to look at is what the public information is, and if you're a lender, you have some access to some private information as well. The public information is covered in the fund report, which is provided by Frandata, which takes up to a 10-year history and looks at what the unit outcomes are and projects a projected outcome and actually scores that brand. The private information is covered by a report called the Bank Credit Report, or BCR. And there we really drill down with the franchisor and find out what that confidential information is. And each of these BCRs is protected by an NDA that all banks must sign before looking at them. The fund report looks at a 5 to 10 year time frame and uses a combination of all of those FDDs as well as a bunch of other information sources. What we look at here are franchisor performance metrics and franchise system performance metrics at the unit level and at the franchisor level. We can create a projected unit success rate based on what the historical outcomes are. We can look at their resale activity and grade that. We look at their same-store sales increments and what their unit level economics are. And then we actually look at the agreement and see how that relationship between the franchisee and franchisor works. At the franchisor level, we want to make sure that their recurring revenue is self-sufficient. That would be that they have operating capital after bringing in initial franchise fees, along with a bunch of other metrics as well. But remember, as a lender, you're not lending to the franchisor, you're lending to the franchisee. What we do is we use a proprietary credit scoring system in doing all that underwriting, and then we create an overall score for each brand that has one. The report really alleviates concerns over the SBA default data that's out there that we all know is very flawed and not reliable. On the private side, we have the bank credit report, and that's a credit risk analysis tool that lenders use that can really help you in making informed and validated loan decisions. Here we look at information provided by the brand and analyzed by the perspective of a lender that looks at everything inside that brand all the way down to the unit level economics. We have a lot of categories here looking at unit level economics, system performance, franchisor performance, who the executive team is, what the data behind all that performance is. And it's an industry standard for transparency and lender friendliness. Here you see a slide of all the brands, not all the brands, but a sampling of the brands that have BCRs and are used nationally by lenders all over the country. When you're looking at the brand, you want to look at and weight, in my opinion, equally the borrower and the brand in a franchise loan. So your job as a banker is to really underwrite the borrower. FICO score, liquidity, resume, experience, outside income, all those things. What we do is we underwrite the brand, and we do that with either the fund report or the BCR. So the brands that have elected to do BCRs, they're available to you, and the brands that didn't do them, we're doing fund reports on.
So what other specific resources does Frandata have available to lenders?
Well, the franchise registry website, franchiseregistry.com, now has over 6,600 lender members, and that website will give lenders access to information and underwriting tools on about 5,000 brands. In addition, we have a dedicated lender support specialist to field questions and make lender and franchisor connections. We also provide complimentary training webinars throughout the year. And what you want to do is either email franchiseregistry@frandata.com, or you can just go to the link on the bottom of this slide, and it will tell you, it will take you right to a sign-up page for the Franchise Registry website. The other thing Frandata can do for lenders is we can do custom research, and we do this all the time. Really what we do there is we build your brand portfolio that meets your goals and your risk tolerance based on all these historical and projected outcomes. Basically gives you the ability to outsource your brand underwriting. We also have proprietary lists of all franchisees and all brands, and we can also match and look at your existing portfolio to help make sure that your portfolio is being measured properly within your own institution. What is Frandata? We're the only source of comprehensive information about franchising. We have the world's largest database of information, and we track and analyze 3,500 active brands in 30 sectors and 230 industries.
So you've heard it, there's lots of opportunity for small business lenders with franchise lending. Thanks for joining us.